People are romanticizing confusion and calling it destiny. And that is one of the biggest reasons I created this page. Hi, I'm Crystal, and this is Spiritual Illusion Decoded. This page is for people who have felt something intense, something real, something powerful in a connection, and needed better language for what was actually happening underneath it. Because not everything that feels spiritual is being understood clearly. That does not mean the feeling was fake. It means the feeling may have been real, while the interpretation came too fast. So this page is where I'm breaking down spiritual illusion through logic, emotion, nervous system response, relationship patterns, and what time actually reveals. And I'm starting with week 1 of the series, Twinkling Flame, the first spark is not the full story. I want to start there because this is where so much confusion begins. So many people talk about the beginning of a connection like it was instant proof. The first spark, the first pull, the first sense that something important is happening. Some call it awakening, some call it fate, some call it soul recognition, some call it proof. And I want to be really clear here. I do not believe that moment is fake. I believe it is often very real. But real does not always mean fully understood. That right there is where so much confusion begins. Because sometimes what feels spiritual is actually the first moment the nervous system feels relief. Sometimes what feels cosmic is the first time a part of us feels seen. Sometimes what feels like destiny is a deep internal response that we rush to explain before time has revealed what it actually is. That is what I mean by twinkling flame. To me, a twinkling flame is the first spark that feels awakening before the whole truth of the connection is known. It is the first light, the first internal shift, the first moment something inside of us comes alive enough to be noticed. It may matter deeply. It may awaken something real, but it is still only the beginning. And beginnings are where people are most likely to overinterpret what they feel. One of the biggest distortions in spiritual relationship culture is that the first feeling is often treated like final proof. People feel intensity and call it destiny. They feel familiarity and call it a divine mirror. They feel emotional activation and call it confirmation. But a beginning only tells us that something is happening. It does not automatically tell us what that something is. And that matters a lot, especially in the first 3 to 6 months of a relationship. Because those first months are not just about chemistry, they are about reality. They are about whether two people can actually be seen, known, and understood without hiding the very things that will matter most later. And this part is really important to me personally. Looking back at my own relationships, I can see that I was often drawn to what felt safe to my wiring at the time. I have been with a man who led with logic alone. I have been with a man who led with emotion alone. And now I have experienced what balance feels like. Someone who leads with logic can feel very safe to a person starving for structure. Their steadiness feels grounding. Their predictability feels calming. Their order feels like relief. And someone who leads with emotion can feel very safe to a person starving to be seen. Their attention feels warm, their presence feels close, their expressiveness feels like comfort. That does not make the connection fake, it makes it understandable. And that matters, because what we call a deep knowing is sometimes a deep need finally being touched. That is why the first spark can feel so convincing. Not because we are foolish, not because the experience is false, but because the body knows relief before the mind knows language. And one of the clearest truths I've learned is this: logic needs structure. Emotions need to be seen. When logic has no structure, confusion grows. When emotions are not seen, hunger grows. That is not just my pattern, that is human. And that is why I believe the first 3 to 6 months of a relationship should reveal, not disguise. This is not the time to become who you think someone else wants. This is not the time to build a performance just to keep the spark alive. Because trying to be who someone else wants is not love, it is self-abandonment with a pretty filter on it. If there is one thing I have learned, it is that I have to be fully myself. Not a softened down version of me, not a more acceptable version of me, not a version of me designed to keep someone comfortable. Me, simply me. Because if I am not fully myself, I live in confusion. And logic cannot do long-term confusion. Honestly, neither can healthy relationships. That is why authenticity is not optional in the beginning. It is maintenance, it is protection, it is what keeps the first spark from becoming a distorted story later. So that is what week 1 is about. Not dismissing the spark, not mocking the intensity, but giving the beginning a more honest name. Because the first spark may be real, it may be important, it may even start something life-changing, but it is not the full story. And if we want real relationships instead of spiritual illusion, then the beginning has to be used for honesty. So if this speaks to something you've been trying to put into words, follow along. This is Spiritual Illusion Decoded, and this is only the beginning.